All right, yep, I'm going there. Metrics, 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 metrics. I know we're probably all tired of hearing that. But I find in our technology world, we often don't know if we've solved our customer's problem until we've solved the customer's problem. I talked about that with computational irreducibility. Trying to predict when we're going to be done with our work amidst the unpredictable nature of our work, that's a tough thing to do. Customers aren't always sure what they want. Developers certainly aren't sure how to build everything. There is no playbook on how to solve for every problem. And how often does it all change? The tech solution included. So yeah, we have metrics we capture to help us with these problems. Ever heard of velocity? Too often we use that though to gauge delivery dates, but we miss the date. Well, what if velocity didn't miss your date? Velocity helped you miss it with confidence. Hi, I'm Lance Dacy, otherwise known as Big Agile. And this week I'm very excited because we're talking about metrics, one of my favorite subjects. And we're going to kick off with a conversation that I think a lot of leaders need, even though it probably makes us a bit uncomfortable at first. And I'm going to talk about the word predictability. Predictability without fantasy. Flow over velocity. Now, my focus in helping teams in 2026, I think, is going to center on how credibility can beat confidence. We've done the confidence thing for a long time. And heroic promises, they feel good in the moment, but they quietly erode trust over time. And teams are not better off for it, I can guarantee it. So today, I want to set the stage for the week ahead. We're going to talk about why velocity keeps letting leaders down, why flow metrics tell a better story, and how can teams rebuild trust after we have continued miscommitments, and let's do that without excuses, without spinning the data, and be honest. So let's talk about why predictability is broken in most organizations. And I like to name the problem with grace, patience, and mercy. If this is you, don't hide from it. You're normal. Most organizations are under real pressure. Budgets are tighter than probably ever before. Timelines are public. They have to be. Leaders are expected to just know, when these things are going to be done and just magically make it happen. So naturally in Agile, our teams reach for the data, the velocity. We even teach teams as Agile coaches to use that. It's not a bad metric. Velocity feels scientific. It has numbers. It has charts. It looks precise, but you can be precisely wrong. All right. So the hard truth is that velocity is internally negotiated, easy to gain, and that's often done unintentionally as well. Teams can change story point sizing. You see work kind of spill across sprints, and, scope quietly gets redefined without a lot of publicity. And so suddenly we're out there forecasting with a number that was really never designed to, predict delivery dates in the first place. And it's not a team failure. It's more of a system failure. So it's okay if you're doing that. But let me talk about something that might take us to the next level called flow metrics. And I think flow metrics can change the conversation for the better. They don't necessarily ask, how busy are we? They ask, how does work move through the system? And when you have a lot of teams and cross-functional skills, that's an important thing to see. So what I'd like to do is define a few terms that we're going to be using all week in plain language that you're probably familiar with. But the first one is work in progress, WIP. That is how many things are started but not finished. And high WIP almost always means longer delays, more context switching. There's actually laws and studies on that. Throughput is another great metric, which is basically how many items actually finish per unit of time, not started, actually finished. Cycle time is a great metric. Basically, how long does it take from one item to go from start to done? And this is basically what your customers feel. So it's a great metric. We also have aging work. So how long do current items, how long have they been in progress? And I find aging work is a leading indicator of risk that's coming down the road. And I find when you track all of these items together, patterns emerge, real patterns, not wishful ones. And so data is great, patterns are great, but flow predicts delivery, I think, better than velocity. Now, delivery is a flow problem, not an effort problem, and flow metrics reflect those cues, the bottlenecks, dependencies, impediments, interruptions. Velocity is just a lagging indicator of that. And so it's not really theory that we're looking at here. There's a lot of great metrics out there that we can use and studies that we can use that often weren't the case, 10 years ago. So I'm going to refer to the 2024 DORA research that I've been blogging about for quite a while now, but I think this is one of those things that reinforces this point very clearly. Teams that manage flow, limit work in progress, reduce their cycle time variability, tend to deliver more predictably and, with higher quality outcomes. And DORA shows that focusing on system health and flow can lead to a lot better reliability and less burnout for their developers as well, not just a faster output. Now, you can read the full report. I'll place the link in the comments, but I'm going to kind of just pull some things out of it now for this quick talk. Flow metrics are a lot harder to fake. Because they're grounded in reality. Work either moved or it didn't. You can't hide that. Somebody's going to know. Velocity can be a little bit gamed. So I want to tell a quick story here that happened recently. It may sound familiar and help you with your team in building trust. I worked with a leadership team that had missed no less than 3 major delivery commitments in a row. I think it's actually more than that, but we'll go with 3. The stakeholders were frustrated. The word agile had become a source of fatigue, along with a lot of other buzzwords. And, the instinct is to promise harder next time. We're going to try better. But instead, I recommended we pause. I said, look, the team, we need to go to the stakeholders and we're going to tell them this. We've been giving you confident dates without enough evidence, and that's on us. So for the next 60 days, we're not going to promise delivery dates. We're going to show you the flow of the system and hold ourselves accountable and you to the impediments therein. And so they started to share a lot of the dashboarding metrics that we built out for them, things like work in progress limit. They showed cycle time distributions. They highlighted aging work and how those risks could surface at least weekly to help mitigate them. And so what happened when we started doing that for 60 days is I really felt the trust started to come back a lot quicker than the predictability did. And I want to talk about why. And I think it's because honesty is stabilizing. When leaders stop defending the system and start revealing it, I feel like our stakeholders lean in instead of pushing back on that, because a lot of times stakeholders aren't familiar with technology work. So when we start using a lot of these words, they just don't get it. They're used to the traditional project management approach, and Agile approaches things a lot differently. And a lot of the friction is just simply they don't quite understand the problems we have in software development, technology development, which I go back to the beginning. We don't know if we solved your problem until we solve your problem. We can plan all day long, but until we deliver it, engineer it, push it somewhere where you can use it, we likely don't know. And so the iterative and incremental nature of delivery is an important part of that. And so lean in and be honest about that. And as this week unfolds across our blog, we've got the LinkedIn newsletter. And if you're subscribed to our emails, I'm going to start digesting what I want leaders to start listening for. Stop asking, when will it be done? And start asking, what's stuck right now? Where are we stuck? Stop rewarding utilization of people and start rewarding the flow and work finishing in our sprints or iterations. Stop demanding the certainty when there really is none. Start building credibility through transparency and honesty. And I think the flow metrics give leaders a language that's grounded. It's also calm and it's adulting. We do this all the time with our families. We don't make an infinite amount of money every month, but somehow every month we have to get with our families and figure out where are we going to spend this money. And sometimes things happen that we didn't plan for. Now that's a little bit easier because the data's there and it's a little bit more hardened, but it's adulting is choosing things, choosing priorities, infinite list of things we could work on, finite amount of time and capacity to do them. So our stakeholders need something to help them adult better. Now, if your organization is tired of these broken promises, I promise the answer is not more confidence. I love confidence. I love metrics. I love data. But it's better evidence. The more of that you have, the better we can adult. So this week, we're going to walk through how to start measuring flow in 2 to 4 weeks, how to stop the behaviors that create thrash in your team, and how to reset trust without blame. Now, if this resonates with you, stay with us this week. Share it with some colleagues. That always helps us out a great deal. Give us a like or a subscribe. And just remember that predictability without fantasy is possible, but only if we're willing to look at how work truly flows through the system. Then we can build on top of that. So let's build credibility the honest way. See you next time.